As promised, I wanted to do another couple of videos. So this one is a little bit about warming up, dynamic movements, a little bit about alignment prior to going for a run. So firstly, one of the best ways to warm up for a run is to walk. A good brisk walk, not just a gentle stroll, between about 8 to 12 minutes to get the blood diverting from the internal organs and into the limbs, into the muscles that you're going to be using for your run. So often you'll hear everybody saying, oh, you know, that first mile, that first mile and a half is a bit of a struggle, and then I find my rhythm, I find my breathing in your muscles. That's basically you just warming up. So if you can, a nice warm walking warm up is fantastic prior to going for a run. Even if you've done that, you can still follow in your warm up walk, do a few exercises as well. First thing just to mention, think about is alignment. So you might have heard of like run tall. Imagine there's a string at the top of your head and keeping your chest open, letting your diaphragm move, posture, alignment, all of these things. So yeah, you'll notice it more when it's bad posture, when you're tired, and you'll feel it in yourself. You might see it in other people's running, and people start to bend forward as they're running. Less optimal position for your diaphragm. You're not getting as much oxygen in, so you do want to keep the chest open. If you're at the end of a run, you'll hear people saying, stand up, open it up, get the air back in. So thinking about that when you're running, thinking about your rib cage. So if you imagine here just pressing into that hand, sending it up sort of in a 45-degree angle. And think a little bit more about the pelvis and rib cage. So if you can find a handy wall or a tree or something, you want to stand with your heels not quite like up against it. Bottom will be touching when you've got a bottom, which pretty much all of us have. Upper back, you want it to be just touching as well, and the back of your head should just be brushing that vertical surface as well. If your head's here and you feel like you're having to go way back, it's probably just because you're used to having your head here. The further forward your head is, the heavier it is, and your body is having to expend energy in holding it. If it's perched on top of your spine, much more efficient. So you can think about, in this position, tilting your pelvis forward as far as you can. You'll feel that creating an arch in your back, so your rib cage will be tilting back, and then chin coming down a little bit, so head's also going forward. Then bring that back in the opposite direction, so tilting your pelvis back, not bending your knees. You still want to have the knees not locked but relatively straight, so you're tilting the pelvis back. Feel then that your rib cage wants to come down at the front, so you're closing that down and allow the front of the neck to open up, and then come back to midway in between, and that's your neutral position. There's an awful lot more I could do with regards to alignment, but needless to say, just even going from that one end range through to the other a couple of times, so pelvis and rib cage, and allowing the head just to move as it wants to, and then coming back into neutral. What you're looking for here is that there should be a bit of movement around the pelvis. So when you're running, if you think about the running motion, shoulders and pelvis are coming towards each other. There's a counter rotation, so we want to make sure that we've got a little bit of movement in the pelvis and the shoulders. So shoulder rolls, great way to start off, allowing one side Don't be moving just the arm, okay? Let the arm just be nice and loose and move the shoulder. When you've done one side, it's always good to do them separately because you'll notice how much different that shoulder feels to the one you've not done. Then do the other side. If we want to do a bit of warming up, then we can take that into both shoulders and even into arm circles. Great way to warm the body up. Upper body is just as important as lower body because running is a full body activity. We can do a little bit, again, move of working at the hips. So again, try and this time to keep the hips kind of level. Lifting one up, bend the knee, taking it out to the side and bringing it around the circle. So you're not allowing your whole body to twist here. The hips are staying facing forward and the leg is drawing a circle in that hip joint. Same on the other side. And you might find there's a bit of clicking and stuff goes on. So what we're doing here is warming up the fluid in these joints, getting them moving. Have you been sitting for a while? Quite important to try and get things moving here. So if you have a step, or a curb, so you can step up a little bit, this can be a bit easier. So if your foot's up on the step, I'm going to use a little block here just to demonstrate that. Then you can swing your leg through easier. Keeping, again, your upper body upright and think about sending the leg back to start with, not forcing it, just to where the tissue goes, right, that's far enough, and then let it go. So it's just swinging back and forth. Once you've done that a couple of times, you can take it a little bit further, trying to keep the upper body still above the standing leg. If you need to support yourself, rest your hand against the wall, then that's absolutely fine. And then allow the hip to become involved as well. So again, still keeping the upper body upright, taking this as far as you can. Really just letting everything go, letting it all loosen off. We'll do the same on the other side. So again, starting off, taking it back the way so you open up the front of the hip and letting it swing through. So taking it back and letting it go. Then taking it a little bit further once it's starting to warm. And then allowing the hip to become involved and letting that go a few times. So just move my block out of the way before I trip over it. Another thing we can do is kicking the bottom and warm up the quads and the hamstrings. So stretching at the front, contracting at the back. Again, stepping into it to start with, not overdoing it, but getting those muscles warmed up. Coming down to feet and ankles. So you can do this in your shoes, you don't need to be barefoot for this, I happen to be at the moment. But you can still allow your feet to rock through and warm up the ankles. Allow them to roll towards the inside of the sole and then the outside a few times. Again, warming up the ankle joints. And the other thing you can do is, this is like a gate post. So this is your standing leg. You're going to keep that hip above the foot, above the heel, weights in that heel. Imagine you're sending the front of your ankle around towards the outside and you're opening up that gate. So this hip is coming around, this leg's nice and soft, your weight's going into the outside edge of your foot, you're drawing up the arch on the inside of the foot and then just let it go and it'll spring you back. So you're loading up the tissue, but you're not driving it from up here. You can twist further if you're taking the shoulders. This is all about the ankle, up into the leg, loading up the tissue and letting it go. Quite good to do if you've ever sprained an ankle. Teaching your central nervous system what it's like to be in that outside edge and strengthen your ankle, and then let it go. Same on the other side, I'll show you from the front. So weights on the standing leg, and we're opening up that gate post. Toes are still staying down. If you feel that your foot, inside foot, the whole thing's peeling up, try to just keep those toes in contact and just allow the arch to come up. If you wear orthotics in your shoes, you might find the sense of this is a little bit more difficult. And then last time, so what you're doing is getting the tissue under load, going to the end range, and then letting it go, and it will push you back. That's that elastic recoil in the body. One more thing we can do warming up is squats. Whole body movement. Feet can be hip width, a little bit wider shoulder width. Spine is nice and long, and you're going to imagine you're going to sit down on a chair behind you. So don't let the knees collapse in. You're going to sort of go forward. Chest is going to stay open. So you can take the hands out in front of you, sink in the bottom, back and down. Show you the side. You do a few of these and pushing up. So we're waking up the glutes and pushing up. And one more thing I've just thought about. Check if you've had any tendon issues. Just checking in with your fascia and your soft tissues. Bouncing on the spot. Great way to warm up. Great way just to check what's happening in your feet and ankles. Are all your tissues alright for running? If you can do this for 2 minutes, then you can go running. If you find your calves start to tighten up, then don't overdo it. Don't cause yourself any injury in it. Something to be mindful of, that you maybe need to be doing a little bit more stretching in the calves and taking a bit more care of them. So hopefully you found that interesting. Hopefully a few ideas for you there, and we'll see you all in the new year.